Hello YouTube, we're back. It's been a while, but we're back. We're going to talk about fuel systems in this video. Fuel systems. Hey YouTube, this is J and T Customs. I'm Jay.
I'm T.
And how are you doing? Okay, so we're going to talk about return systems and returnless systems, all right? In our application, this is Veronica. She's a 2005 Mustang, code S197, okay? And we are going to build her up. If you've seen the other videos, or if you're following our videos, you know where we are with this, okay? 4.6 liter taken out, it's on the floor over there, and we're putting the 5.4 liter in. We're going to start off naturally aspirated, and then later on T is going to either pro-charge it, supercharge it, or twin turbo it. Right now it looks like he's leaning towards pro-charger or a supercharger. So we'll see how that goes. This car from the factory is a return style fuel system. Okay. Now, what does that mean? A return style fuel system means that the fuel gets pumped in from the fuel tank. Okay, it goes through the fuel filter, goes into the fuel injectors, and then whatever's not being used or needed gets returned back to the gas tank. What are the benefits of that? Benefit number one, most important, most of all, used in high horsepower applications. Right now it's raining out, so
we also got a bunch of fans going because of the bugs.
Fans going because we've had a lot of rain, so we've had a lot of mosquitoes. So the fans are keeping the mosquitoes at bay because they can't fly in high wind. Okay, so back to this. High horsepower, number one reason, okay? External fuel pump or a high volume internal fuel pump, okay? High volume, high pressure internal fuel pump or a combination of both. And it would be called a fuel pump booster, okay? In our application, we're going with a high volume internal fuel pump, okay? And then we're going with two inline fuel filters. One's a 40 micron filter, one's a 100 micron filter, okay? And we go with a fuel pressure regulator, right? So we can regulate our fuel pressure to the recommended volume to our injectors and so on and so forth. But we'll get to that in a minute. One of the drawbacks of a return style system is your fuel pump will be at 100% duty cycle. You've probably seen that if you've been researching. You've probably seen that already, so you don't know. You may or may not know what that means. Basically, it's on all the time. All right, so it's pumping all the time. When your car is running, that's pumping. Okay, so if you don't get a good one, it'll wear out, it'll burn out. You run out of fuel. Now you're in. Obviously, that's a no-brainer. Okay, so 100% duty cycle. I'm going to use the terminology so you understand, but that just means that it is on all the time, pushing the recommended fuel pressure that you require for your horsepower. In T's situation, okay, he has, come on over here, and he has, he's got thick fuel injectors, okay? And they are 1,000 cc's or 95-pound fuel injector. These injectors, they're going to supply enough fuel for that horsepower. Well, let's talk about return. Pretty much. Okay. All right, so now T is going to tell us about the returnless fuel system, okay? And the pros and cons with that. T? You got to give me the camera so you can take over. Okay. T, tell us about the Returnless style setup.
One thing that Jay forgot to mention is in a return system, you have to have double the lines. So pretty much what that means is there's 2 lines that go to the fuel tank. One is through the pump, through the filters, all that good stuff, and then one is just raw back to the gas tank. So you have to have 2 extra, or realistically 1 extra that goes back to the tank. Without that, in the Returnless system, you only need the 1, but it's controlled by a computer and the ECU. So what happened? Oh, little mosquito never hurt nobody. Is over there behind the camera. Yeah. Yeah. Now, could you do either or? Yes, but with the ECU setup, there's just a lot more tuning that has to be involved. And now, if you're doing a Holly setup where you can tune on the fly in your little tablet or computer, that's just a lot of stuff now that you have to do extra of. And also, it's not the greatest for high horsepower applications, which this is going to be a high horsepower application. So we're going to do it now rather than have to change it later. That's why I also went with these injectors, because we can tune down the injectors for 500 horsepower, and then we could tune them up for when I supercharge it or blow it or whatever. We can always turn them up. So that's a good thing. If you're building something like this and you don't have your force injection right now, a good thing to do is to buy parts that can either be tuned down or changed that are very expensive, because that way you don't have to buy them twice. Because that's the last thing you want to do. Spend $1,000 on injectors and then be like, oh wait, I need another $1,000 injector set because mine can't handle it. Yeah, don't do that. So now that all of the explanation is out of the way, now let's actually get into putting this together. This is my fuel regulator that we were talking about and the corresponding gauge. Now, this bracket is custom built because in my car, a lot of people put it right here. But now you might be wondering, well, why didn't you just do that? Well, because my AC pump is in the way. And now you might be thinking, well, you're building a race car, just delete it. No, I want AC. I'm going to be in Texas for too long. I want AC, okay? So this, normally what people do is they just put it right there. You put all the lines in it, it works great. Because the 5.4 is massive, so there's like barely any space to put anything else anywhere. However, with mine, because I want my AC, we built this little bracket, and it sits right here on the EF, EG, ER, SOS. There's too many freaking acronyms. That's gone.
So this is the EGR valve on this Sullivan intake manifold.
That's also gone.
So EGR delete plate.
Yeah.
So instead of using this EGR delete plate,
we made our own. Okay, now
So what is this thing?
I said it is my regulator.
Oh,
fuel pressure regulator.
Okay, the fuel pressure regulator is made by Fuel Labs. Tell me about it. What's so special? Why did you buy this one?
I didn't. You did.
Okay. All right, I'll tell you. This is a 35 to 90 pound fuel pressure regulator. It's got AN6 in and out, and then it returns underneath. It's vacuum fed. So this guy here goes to the vacuum, and then this is your pressure adjustment.
All the pressure.
And then here's your gauge.
Oh dear.
Okay. This goes to.
That's gone.
Okay. So like because we're going to 95 pounds eventually, okay, we went with a 100-pound fuel pressure gauge. All right.
You can also get a gauge for the inside of the car, or if your EFI system has it, you can just plug it in and then you can have a gauge on your digital display. But for right now, we're just gonna use that one. Now, these are AN6 holes, but these are AN8 fittings, so it's an AN6 to AN8 adapter. That's why these look a little big.
Oh yeah, good point. Right, this is, what did you just say? AN6 to AN8.
To
Gotcha.
AN8. Now,
All right, gotcha.
now comes the fun part with all of your fittings and hoses, okay? This is an 8 steel braided line to an 8 fittings.
So
I already made a video on how to put these in.
and I'm gonna splice it in right here.
So, how these work, let me put it back together for you, is you got these little couplers, okay? This side goes into whatever you are, whatever the piece is, whether it be your regulator or another fitting or whatever. Then this, you unscrew this side, and you get this little, very important cone device, okay? Don't lose this. This is very important. And then obviously what fits on the hose and then blah, 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 blah. So what you do is you take these, okay, and you put this on first. Very important, put this on first. Now, also, make sure it goes on the right direction, because the last thing you want to do is get it all nice, and then realize it's going this way.
Which way?
That way. Okay? You want to make sure threads are at the top. When you're doing this, because this is silver braided, stainless, that is very ouchy, okay? Normally use gloves, so I'm probably going to get stabbed and it's going to be ironic, but we don't need those. So you slide these over top. Sometimes just threading it on makes it easier, less you got to work with, okay? So now this kind of just floats around as it rolls away. Then this goes on the inside of the mesh material, but on the outside of your line. Okay? Now, depending on how your cutters work, you might gotta pinch it a little bit and then squish it down. Okay? So it's nice towards the top. See? Give it a little extra push. Grab your top of your fitting and pull it up. Now that doesn't go anywhere because the mesh holds it in place. Then what you do, make sure all your tube is nice and flush in there, because then this jams in there, and then you thread it on. Obviously you want this tight, you don't want it hand tight, because when these leak it's a problem. And there you go. That's not going anywhere. Okay, so
that's how it's done. We had to make all the fittings. So when you build your build, okay, take your time, set stuff up. Do it 100 times before you do it permanently. Okay, use garden hose if you have to before you make any decisions on cutting this hose and these fittings, on where you want everything to lay in and how you want it to lay in. Okay, always do a mock-up first. Never just go, yeah, this looks good, we'll put it in here, and then find out, oh, we forgot about that, and we forgot about this. Oh, and that's got to go in that spot. We're in trouble. Now what?
Send it.
Yeah, send it. So it's always good to do mock-up first. So T spent a couple of days mocking this up before he actually cut hoses and hooked up his fittings. All right, so how are we looking?
Very good. This is the...
oh yeah, what's all this extra line here? What's going on here?
This, at the bottom, connects to, if I can screw it in, this connects to the return. Now this is just the hose that kind of goes back into the, so this is the raw hose. This goes to the gas tank that's already been used, cycled through the system. So all the extra goes through this line back to the tank.
Gotcha.
So that's why it's excessively long and there's no fitting at the end of it, because we don't have obviously the motor's not in the car, so we can't map out how much we need, so it's just the end of the spool.
All right, now what are you putting on here? What is all this? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's all this fancy crap you're doing here?
So this, the Y setup we got here, we got to get a little bit more hosing because that's the return and there's not enough. But this is the
Fuel.
the filters and
Yep.
the pump.
Exactly.
So that's what this goes to. Then this breaks off, goes into the Y, comes down, comes through the regulator, and then back down through the raw hose back into the tank. Yeah, and corresponding AN wrench. You're gonna want this for doing this stuff. It fits nice on the thing. Works great. Get one of those when you're doing this.
How did that go?
One-time deal. Just rewind and fast forward if you want to see it again. Now, this comes in like this. Pull that down. I need more. Now, screw this on like that. One thing for my particular setup you got to look for is because this is where the fuel lines go. Gotta make sure the good old whap still works. That works. Ow, that really hurt. That one got me. Okay. That sits like that. Yep, that's what I thought. It's not down far enough.
What's on?
Whap doesn't work.
The what?
The whap.
Oh, I see.
Now it works. Right. So now it looks like this spider web of craziness.
That's awesome looking.
Obviously, when we're done, this is gonna get zip tied and
Zip
I got
tied?
these fancy metal zip ties. So it's gonna look nice and da-da-da-da-da.
All right.
I also have, I don't know where it went.
So here's our 2 lines that are going to go back to the fuel tank. As far as fuel system goes, this is a return style fuel system, and this is not a returnless style fuel system. This is a return style fuel system, and that's it. That's how this is done. All right, YouTube. Oh, there's the shop inspector. All right, Rufus, what do you think? What do you think, Rufus? Is it good? Are you happy with it? You like the way it's set up?
I don't know about this one.
All right.
I don't know.
All right. Okay, YouTube, like and subscribe. We appreciate all of you folks out there.